Good morning, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Ben and I just moved the mob of cattle onto a quadrant here. This will be the last section of this farm that will be grazing this year. We won't be back here until, I guess, the 1st of April. Sometime first couple weeks of April, we'll be coming back through here. But one of the things I wanted to point out was we are leaving a lot of ground cover. We don't have a lot of real short eating spots. In other words, right here, if you can get by leaving 2 to 3 inches of residual and make that your final grazing pass for the year, this particular paddock will just scream back in the spring flush. So in April, if you're still feeding hay in April, it's because your pastures were probably grazed too short in the wintertime. And that wintertime can be November, December, January, February, March, any of those months. If you take it down what I call putting green, where it looks like you could putt a golf ball on it, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a couple more weeks in the spring of feeding hay. But here we've got a lot of residual. We've got a really old bale. It's old quality. In other words, it was baled a little bit too late. And the cattle will pick through this on the way. We just unrolled it on what they had already grazed. And the reason we did that, we're trying to get rid of it, number one. We're feeding the soil, the earthworms, and that is their water source right over that hill over there. So they'll kind of pick through it and add a lot of organic matter back to the soil today. And so when you can buy your hay, $30 to $35 a bale, and just put a little bit out there on the pasture, feed the worms and all that other good microbiology in your soil, it will grow you more grass the following year. But these cattle, they're going to be on, there's about 5 acres right here, and they're going to be on this today, and I'll come and look at it tonight. And if it looks like we can get an evening graze out of it without them taking it off what I call the soil armor. This is our soil armor. I don't want them taking that. Okay, so yesterday it worked. They had 5 acres and one old, I call it earthworm food bale, unrolled. And Ben and I looked at it this morning when we unrolled it yesterday, and they didn't eat too much of it, but they sure went through it, trampled on it, pooped on it. Just kind of looks like you took a leaf rake to it and just kind of scattered it all over the place, which is great. It fed the worms. So that's kind of what we're trying to do to get rid of this last bit of. We don't have very many more left. There's 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 bales up there. And after that, then we're in our good stuff. If we need to feed it, we'll have some good quality hay. But if it's pretty poor quality, that's the thing you got to watch, folks. If it's baled late in the year, like let's say August, September, even maybe some people bale it as late as October, that hay will fill an animal up, but it will cause that animal, you could go out there one morning, your animal's going to be full of that type of hay, and they're dead. They're dead. In other words, there's not enough nutrients in that hay to even keep them going. It takes 7% protein just to kind of keep them going, where they don't go backwards. But more is better. This stockpile right here, it's just unbelievably high quality. That's because it's got green in it, and it's got clover in it. Now the clover got its little head frosted here 2 days ago, got down to 3 to 4 below, and it really turned it brown. But you know what? They're still eating it. They're still eating it, and it tastes good to them. And that's because it's still got just a little bit of green in that clover. So they're going to clean this up, and they're going to do pretty good on this today. Not pretty good, real good. We're looking at the 27th of December, and we're still grazing. So anytime you can graze late into December, January. We've got, oh my. Well, we go into the Lifetime Leaf Farm next. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paddocks over there. And then we take a little road drive up there on Janes, which is way up there on that hill. Got a really high quality paddock there that we've stockpiled. And then it's a road drive, well, actually through the brush and across the road over to the big farm at Docks. That's where we got our major stockpile at for the winter. It's just going to be breathtaking. Ben and I went over the other day to get some cedar. I've got a cedar storage facility over there where I store my cedar that we sawmill, and we both were just gasping at the amount of grass over there. So, golly, I can't wait to get over there. It's going to be beautiful. There's fescue over there, 10, 12 inches high, and down in the bottom canopies, this beautiful green clover. It's just, oh, these cows are going to do backflips when they hit that. So I'm excited to get over there. The reason it looks so good, and Ben even reminded me, he's like, Greg, you remember how we grazed this? I'm like, yep, we tip grazed it. We just barely grazed it well, it was during deer season, before deer season hit. We went flying through that farm because 2 of the farms over there are owned by deer hunters. And so we just flash grazed it. We just took the tips off and we're gone. And that grass thanked us. It grew back like gangbusters. So, tipping it like that, what do you think happened to these cows? Well, that's one of the reasons they look like they do. This isn't an accident that they look like this. It takes management, and it takes moving them, and it takes observation. You've got to look at your animals every single day. Listen to them. You all hear anything bawling? There's nothing out here bawling. It's because they don't need anything. They're happy. We had a young couple stop in last night from Michigan. Just a wonderful family. They had 5 beautiful children. And I got a picture of the little girl, just the cutest little redheaded girl, sitting out there in the middle of my cows. And I said, well, she asked if she could pet one. I said, probably not. They're not that tame. She got down on her knees, and she had a whole circle of cows around her, and one of them was licking on her hand. So that was pretty cool. The cows, they're used to strangers. They don't care. They were doing this. They were more interested in eating and grazing than they were strangers. And little kids, because they're a little bit more darty and maybe a little bit more loud, didn't bother those cows a bit. So I like to have gentle cattle. They gain better. They're not stressed. And a stressed cow, when you eat it, that's connective tissue. It's adrenaline. When you get adrenaline in the meat, that's a tough eating experience. So if you got a high-headed animal in your herd, you need to get rid of it, because all that animal's going to do is breed tough meat and raise you tough ones. You don't want that. Plus, it's hard to handle animals that are stressed. They'll hurt you, and they're just bigger than you are. They'll run over you when you get them in the corral. They make the rest of your animals stupid because they get everything all upset. It only takes one to take off running, and the whole herd runs. Why is that animal running? She's stupid. You need to get rid of her. She's high-headed, and why she's that way, I don't know. And I don't care. She's gone. Just don't put up with that. But anyway, I'm going to sign off here. We've got a beautiful morning here. It's probably 40 degrees, and we're happy that it is. And we're kind of liking this. Anyway, hit that subscribe button on the way out if you're new to the channel. I appreciate it. And that like. And we'll see you all down the road.